Welcome, Bookaholics. This is Angela, your own Bookaholic Brownim. You can call me Angie. This is a channel that I started to talk about my favorite thing in the world, which is books. So if you are a complete bookaholic like me, please subscribe to my channel and also please like, share, and comment so that I can engage with you. Today I'm coming to you with a tag video, a very interesting one, a subject very close to my heart, which is the Vegan Booktuber Tag, which was originally created by Dane Reads. I will link his original video in the description below. So without further ado, let's get into it. Before we start, this is a tag which was created by Dane from Dane Reads just 4 months ago. So there are many vegan related book tags, roaming around in booktube world. But there are some from 4 years ago. So I want to just specify that this is specifically the one which was created by Dane Reads channel 4 months ago. So first prompt, tofu. Name a writer who is super versatile. Before getting into the question, I hate tofu. I'm a vegan, I'm plant-based, but I hate tofu. I don't understand all the hype around it because maybe because I never looked for a cheese substitute or a paneer substitute ever in my life. Because growing up in Kerala is a state in the southern part of India where I hail from, I was never exposed to cheese. Cheese is not something that I have ever tasted before. Say I was 24, 25 when I came to Bangalore, and for the first time I tasted pizza. So till then I never knew what or how pizza tasted, and also I never knew how cheese tasted. So cheese is not something that I am used to, and most people use tofu as a replacement for paneer. Paneer is kind of a cottage cheese in India. So having bored you enough, let me get into the question now. So who is a writer who is super versatile? Now I came here to tell my answer would be Stephen King, but then now I'm thinking maybe it might be Neil Gaiman because he also writes, in so many variety of genres. So I think I will go with Neil Gaiman. Or maybe if I'm allowed to name an author I've never read, it might be Terry Pratchett because I have read about him and I know that he has written comedy and murder mysteries, science fiction, fantasy, and all that. So he could also be an apt answer for this question. Prompt number 2, nuts. Name a book that was batshit crazy. I want to name this one, The Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. Oh my god, I read this a few years ago, I think 6-7 years ago. Oh my god, I love this book so much. I was like literally ROFL, like it was such a delight reading this book. In fact, now that I think about it, I should read this book again. This was such a hilarious, funky, whimsical read for me. I absolutely love this. It was kind of, crazy, batshit crazy book, at least for me when I read at that time. This was one of a kind of book that I have ever read which made me feel that way. So that's my answer to prompt number 2. Prompt number 3, nutritional yeast. Name a book that's super cheesy. Uh, I don't have an answer to this question. I wanted to say A Fault in Our Stars, but it wasn't cheesy exactly. It made me cry. I don't know. I don't have an answer. Maybe. Oh yeah, I have this. I have this. Eric Segal's love story. As much as I loved it back then, and it was a sensation back in the times when it came out, and maybe I could name this as a cheesy book. I don't know. I have to read it again. I read it like 20 years ago or something, so I don't know if it is cheesy. But because back then I really loved it, I almost cried. Out of all the books that I have and have read, I think this would be my pick for that prompt. Prompt number 4, Beyond Burger. Name a book that imitates another book. So, If you've been following my channel, you know I am such a huge Sherlock Holmes fan. I just love Sherlock Holmes. Recently, during one of my book shopping trips, I went and bought this complete collection of Agatha Christie, and I had not read any Agatha Christie until very recently. And this collection has Hercule Poirot. And oh yeah, it's not the complete collection of Agatha Christie. It is the complete short stories of Hercule Poirot. I was so excited because I love reading mysteries. I loved reading detective novels. So I started reading some of them, and I felt immediately that he is definitely a very cheap copy of the great Sherlock Holmes, and I was pissed and I stopped reading it. Why do I say cheap? Because I felt he was very purposefully, intentionally made to be obnoxious. I love Agatha Christie's Miss Marple stories. I enjoy them, but I don't know. I couldn't just get on with the Hercule Poirot, um, that character, because it always reminded me it's such an imitation of Sherlock Holmes. I mean, then he has this a similar figure to Dr. Watson, who is roaming around him, helping him in his what do you call it, investigations, and cheap imitation. I didn't like it at all. So yeah, that's the answer. Prompt number 5, quinoa. Name a book that's a good base book that everyone should read. I don't understand what base book is. I think that maybe there's kind of basics of a particular genre or a subject. So I picked this book, which is Big Bang by Simon Singh, the most important scientific discovery of all time and why you need to know about it. Now, I read this book around 5 years ago, and when I started reading, I thought it was like all about Big Bang, how it happened, and all that. At that time, I was obsessed about reading physics-related books. When I started reading it, it started from the beginning, like literally that's the name of the first chapter, in the beginning. Yeah, and it talks about the Greek philosophers. It reminds me of Sheldon, when Sheldon is trying to teach Penny some physics, a little physics, in one of the episodes, and it was such a hilarious episode. I keep watching it again and again. Like, it's a warm summer evening in ancient Greece, right? Every time she misses a point, every time she says, "Can we start over?" or "Can you explain this again?" he will immediately go to, "It's a warm summer evening in ancient Greece," and she gets pissed at the end because he always reminds to the beginning. So actually, this book also starts there in the warm summer evening of ancient Greece, and then it progresses towards Copernicus and who else, Kepler, and basically from it lays a foundation of basic physics, the progress of physics and astronomy throughout history, and then yeah, and then it goes into how we came about discovering the Big Bang theory. I have not heard many people talk about this book, but this is a must read if you are an astronomy enthusiast. You don't need to be a physics major or anything, or science expert, because it is explained in very simple terms without using too many equations. This is my answer to this prompt. Prompt number 6, almond milk. Name a book that goes well with a cup of tea. Now, another thing after turning vegan that I do not miss is dairy, because I've never been a fan of dairy. I used to puke whenever mom used to, give me milk in a glass. And, I remember an incident, one day. What I used to do is, she will give me a glass of milk, and I don't know, I never liked it. It stinks. I always feel that milk stinks, even cheese, milk, all of that. I think the only dairy product which I really like is butter. That's it. So milk, and then whenever mom goes back to the kitchen or something, I will go outside the house, pour it out into the soil. Okay, and I used to do that, and but I was very tricky. I used to keep a little bit left out so that I can just close my nose and then drink it. Yeah, gulp it. One day, my mother is like, "How did you finish such a big glass of milk in like a few seconds?" She became very suspicious, and then she went out and then she saw, so the milk has gone down. Okay, it has like seeped into the soil, but you could still see that outline of that, something is poured. She understood I had poured it. It was such a embarrassing moment for me, and I got whacked. I mean, like, this is India, so we used to get whacked, if we do something stupid like that. And oh my god, my mom was like, "No, guys, we spent so much money to get milk for you, and then you throw this milk out." And oh, I got an earful that day. So that's a funny story about milk. So name a book that goes well with a cup of tea. I think the intention is like, have a cup of tea and have a cozy read. I would select any mystery detective novel for that kind of cozy reading mood. I know that you think that I will choose Sherlock Holmes, but I'm going to give you a surprise. I'm not going to choose Sherlock Holmes. I'm going to choose to. I like Japanese murder mysteries as well. So I read these amazing mystery novels by Kiyago Higashino, The Devotion of Suspect X and Salvation of a Saint. Both were great, great mystery thrillers. That's my answer to this prompt. Prompt number 7, environmentalism. Name a book that's about our or another planet. No, I have to admit I don't have any books on planets. Um, hmm. I have one on black holes, but definitely that's not our planet. Oh yeah, actually have. This is nice. I didn't know that I had an answer to this question. I was gonna say I don't have an answer, but now I saw this book on my bookshelf, which I read a long time ago. This is Richard Dawkins' The Greatest Show on Earth: The Evidence for Evolution. Nice, pretty book. There are a lot of pictures. Just ignore my unkempt nails and not apply polish on them. But you see, nice, right? So there are so many pages with pictures and diagrams, and it's nice. And actually, even kids can read this book. This is a very brilliantly written, simple book on evolution. I hope this counts as an answer to question number 7. Prompt number 8, animal rights. Name a book that's sympathetic towards animals. Now, I just received yesterday my order of. I always do this. I lose my sense of direction. Vegan propaganda by Ed Winters. So Ed Winters is the Earthling Ed. He is a famous vegan activist. He is amazing. I love him. I'm yet to read it because I received it only yesterday, and this is in my February TBR. So I would want to say this is my answer, vegan propaganda. But even though I haven't read it, if you want me to point out a book that I have read, then that would be Sapiens, because there is a lot discussed in the book Sapiens. By reading Sapiens, a lot of things stuck out, and the most important things that are. You know what? I love my pets, but sometimes I just want to smother them. Like, how they always bark when I'm doing something like, shooting a video or in a meeting. Anyways, so apologies for my outburst there. What stuck out for me while reading Sapiens is how sympathetic it is towards the suffering of animals. For example, how we destructed the flora and fauna of Australia when humans first, stepped into that continent, and many instances like that. Through explaining the history of humankind and our progress through history, it is explained to us how we have also caused so much of animal suffering, which is not natural suffering, but human caused suffering. So those are my two picks for prompt number 8. Prompt number 9, health. Name a book that inspired you to be healthier mentally or physically. So I don't have an answer to this question. In fact, I don't read any books related to health or fitness or anything. Whenever I want information, I usually Google or watch YouTube videos. Um, yeah, I don't have an answer. I think this will be the only question or prompt for which I don't have an answer for. I started off with 2 or 3, which I did not have an answer for. But along the way, luckily, I did find some books here on my shelf. But truly, for this one, I don't have an answer. I'm sorry. Prompt number 10, cross contamination. Tag some friends. I will tag 2 people. I would love to tag Joanna from Joanna's Booktube channel. I know that she is also plant-based, so I am tagging her. And also Brandon from Brandon's Bookshelf. That is because I remember Brandon also mentioning something about him being sensitive towards animal suffering previously during one of our conversations. So these are the 2 booktube friends that I want to tag in this video. So that was a tag video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please smash the like button, subscribe to my channel. And until next time, this is Angie signing off. Bye-bye.